Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 25th October 2017. The first article, that is rupees 2.11 lakh crore for PSU banks to boost lending. You know that the public sector undertakings today, they are suffering from non-performance assets. These are accumulated over a period of time, and asset quality review undertaken during Rajan era has exposed these non-performance assets. The major reason for their growth is a double balance sheet problem, in which the loss making companies are unable to repay to the banks. So, it has created a negative balance sheet both for the banks and also the companies. And banks are not willing to finance any projects, and policy paralysis is also a reason for this situation. So, in this scenario, to revive the growth, private investment revival is very much important. It needs credit growth from the public sector banks. So public sector banks have to take a haircut from NPAs, non-performance assets. So in this context, rupees 2.11 lakh crore is being provided by the government to PSUs. In what form it is providing for? One is budgetary support, and next is through recapitalization of bonds. Third is by selling the government's equity in these banks. In these three forms, it is providing that. And rupees 5.35 lakh crore for new road project. The name of the road project is Bharat Mala Pariyojana. So under this, connectivity to the ports and connectivity to major cities, all these are expected to improve. It is expected to create around 4 crore work days of employment in India. And then, video of Hardik meeting with Congress leaders leaked. I'm not interested in the politics in this. Just I am interested in Patidar movement and why Patidar movement has come for their inclusion in OBCs. How the Gujarat model of development has deprived the small businessmen and traders their livelihood. That point we need to emphasize. The same is the case with the Jats and Kapus in Andhra Pradesh, Jats in Rajasthan. This is what is the issue going on. Try to see it from that particular dimension. Now, let's get into the editorial page. Complicated terms of engagement. Now, what is the definition of a child? Let's understand it this way. In India, we did not have a uniform definition. As per the Prevention of Child Marriages, it is 18 years. As per Prevention or Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, it is 18 years. But in Indian Penal Code, with regard to the criminalization of rape, in a marriage, it is 16 years. It is 15 years, sorry. Recently, Supreme Court has clearly held that any of sexual intercourse on a minor, even in a wedlock, is a punishable offence and it will be regarded as rape. So this has brought definition of child equal across all the laws. Now, there are two rights issues involved over here. One is rights of children, the other one is rights of women. So here, choice or consent of the woman is the primary thing with regard to a sexual relationship. And second, can a child give her consent is the second question. So here the first question, we can put it as this way. If two teenagers are involved with a sexual relationship, how it has to be considered? In Indian context, a premarital sex is more seen as a crime, violation of a social norm, rather than a child marriage. The child marriage has got a social acceptance. In most of the cases, the child marriage is taken up to prevent children from involving in premarital sex. And there is also a female bias to it. If men are involved in premarital sex or boys are involved in premarital sex, it is not a taboo, but definitely it is a taboo for girls and women. So in this context, the sexual choice of the female is also an issue of right. So here, in most of the times, if two teenagers gets eloped or involved with sex, parents try to punish the male child by keeping some false cases against him. So the legal provisions are also favoring this situation. Let me put it this way. Now, a child of 16 years involves with a sexual relationship with 15 years girl child, then obviously it will be considered as a rape and this child will be punished as like an adult. The reason is any of sexual intercourse on a girl child less than 18 years is a rape. So here a 16 years boy, he is legally conducting a rape, though the 15 years girl has given a consent, because a consent from a child is not valid. Now, as per the amendment to the Juvenile Justice Act, any heinous crime by a person between 16 to 18 years of age, he will be regarded as an adult and will be punished. So, as he is 16 years, then his act will be considered as a rape and considered as a heinous crime, and he will be treated as an adult and punished. So, this has to be amended. How can we amend this, change this situation? One possibility is reducing the age of consent. Can we reduce that from 18 to 16? Then again, the dissociation between child rights and women rights is going to grow up. And second is taking the proximity of age as a criteria. So, the 15 years if we keep as a criteria, so 15 to 17, if male child is plus or minus 2 years, it shall not be considered as a rape. That is the second issue. And third thing is a gender dimension. So, if a child is being involved with a forcible sex, either by male or female, then it shall be considered as a crime. As of now, so a sex by a male is considered as a crime. So, but however, the gender dimension is not taken into consideration as homosexual crimes are also increasing. This is another aspect we need to look into. And the next topic is shed light on Saubhagya. What is this Saubhagya? So, it is a scheme which is meant to provide electricity connection to every household in India. So, this can be called as the Pradhana Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana. So, it is an extension to Deen Dayal Grama Jyoti Yojana. So, in that, electrification of every village is the goal. So, how can we define the electrification of a village? If at least 10% of the people living in the village have the power connection, we call that as electrified village. Now, Saubhagya, can it solve the problem? Can it provide for quality energy to the poor people is the question. One is affordability. Next is quality of supply. These two will determine the success of the program. As poor and marginalized are not getting any subsidies other than a free electricity connection, to what extent they can afford this electricity in the long run is a major question. And second aspect is the quality of electricity supply is expected to suffer as all the BPL families gets connected with the electricity grid. It creates a demand of 7% more. To what extent the government can assure a quality supply? These two questions need to be addressed to make it successful. Next is stock is good. You know, Government of India has appointed an interlocutor on Kashmir. He is the former IB chief, Mr. Sharma. And he is going to consult with all the stakeholders, including Hurriyat. Previously, it was dismissed by the Home Minister as a non-productive exercise. Now, government has changed its muscular stand and it is looking for deliberations as a way forward. And it is also expected to bring in greater credibility to the Kashmiri government as it is part of the alliance agreement between BJP and PDP. GST afterthoughts. GST is released as half-baked. And this faulty GST program has created hardships to the exporters, small traders. Many times, a basket of related products are charged with different slabs of GST. It also made certain essential goods very expensive. Even industry experts in the automotive industry, etc., they have expressed their displeasure towards GST. So, government has to fix accountability. Why this particular GST program, which is considered as a reform of the century in India, was so half-cooked? That's what this article suggests about. The next is, we can't let the Indian-Pakistan relation to be a hostage to dispute. I liked one important point over here. India-Pakistan shall be first friends to later discuss the disagreements. So, doing it other way around, let us solve the disagreements to be friends, may not be workable in diplomacy. That is what Mr. Haqqani talks about. And with regard to US-Pakistan relations, there is an expectation gap between expectations of US, delivery of Pakistan. Similarly, delivery of Pakistan, expectations of Pakistan and delivery from United States of America. And third thing is, Pakistan considers Afghanistan as its backyard, and it is worried that Afghanistan may favor India in terms of a conflict. So the way forward for this is Pakistan can have an agreement with Afghanistan that its soil will not be used for any anti-Pakistan activity, and it can minimize its interference in the Afghanistan activities. These are the beautiful suggestions given by this particular interview. And new US policy is a game changer, Mr. Ashraf Ghani, Afghanistan president. Afghanistan policy highlights three important points. One is, there is no timeline for the withdrawal of the troops by United States of America. And second, the focus of the deployment of the forces is very clear. It is to fight terror groups. And finally, it has also suggested for a regional approach to solve the problem. So this is unique as it is meant to stabilize the Pakistan and state over there. And then, procedure to remove election commissions is vague, says petition in Supreme Court. A petition was filed on Article 324 subclause 5 in Supreme Court. According to this, the Chief Election Commissioner can be removed as like the judge of the Supreme Court. But other election commissioners can be removed only on recommendation of Chief Election Commissioner. So in this context, there is no clarity on other election commissioners. But on electoral matters, all the election commissioners are equal and CEC is just first among the equals. In this context, what is the role of the CEC in removal of the other election commissioners has to be made clear. And second, with regard to the emoluments and conditions of office, all the election commissioners, including Chief Election Commissioner, they get the same as the Supreme Court judge. And then, Jaitley shows report card, says economy is fine. And government is trying to support that. Its initiatives of GST and demonetization did not derail its economic growth. So that's where it is trying to provide for various statistical data to prove that. More than that, it is not necessary. Muddle over nod for GM mustard. Remember the authority which has to give approvals for the trials of GM crops. It is Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, that is GEAC. And then, let's go to the old page. Xi joins the League of Mao Deng. So in the Constitution of Communist Party of China, as of now, the theory and concepts of Mao and Deng Xiaoping are being put in place. Today, Mr. Xi Jinping's conceptualization of moderate prosperity is also put in place. According to this, Xi Jinping talks about moderate prosperity for all Chinese by 2021, consolidation of the same by 2035, and to build a modern socialist economy by 2050. That is the plan of action which he has suggested in the Communist Congress. So that is what is important. And then in the last page I gave you the notes which will be available to you at laix.in/civils prep. Thank you very much and all the best.